that you're referring to, which, by the way, those three accounts do about 200 million views a year. And they're all fake AI personas with a little comical twist. But we make an effort to be as authentic as possible when we're replying to comments, DMing people, etc.
So, Ethan, first of all, 200 million, that's a lot. So, A, congratulations. B, these are fake accounts in that they're not real people. Are the tweets themselves, are those actually AI generated? Ethan, good to see you again.
Likewise, Aiden. Really, it's a pleasure.
It's really good to see you again. I originally met you because I follow a whole bunch of accounts that you and company host. They're these like really amazing, X accounts. I don't know if you have them on other social platforms, but that's how I get my AI news to a large extent is I follow accounts like yours. And so I was like, I have to have Ethan and or someone from the team, to come on the podcast. And so glad that we were able to do it. But for everybody who's listening in, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I really appreciate that kind words. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. So I would say my partner and I grew up, just to start, in Westchester, New York. I went to Washington University in St. Louis, which is where I met my business partner now. We've sort of been like, I don't know, co-conspirators for a while. We've started and failed a lot of things, but we were always super passionate about content, social media marketing, what have you. I would say, AI, we sort of became passionate about that at the same time the rest of the world did. And, we initially created this directory called AI Marketing Directory, which was like, it's named deliberately straightforward for like, it just performs exceptionally well on search engines. And running that for a little while, we realized a very common problem that most people in the AI space face, which is just distribution. And, we kind of figured out a way to combine the best of both worlds. And that led to us creating those Twitter accounts that you're referring to, which, by the way, those three accounts do about like 200 million views a year. And they're all, fake AI personas, like they're with a little comical twist, I guess. But we make an effort to like be as authentic as possible, like when we're replying to comments, DMing people, etc. And like the bios are kind of like funny, I guess.
So, Ethan, first of all, 200 million, that's a lot. So, A, congratulations. B, these are fake accounts in that they're not real people, but are the tweets themselves, are those actually AI generated or is that you all doing it in the background?
Yeah, good question. So, well, in the beginning, they were fully written by us, my partner and I. And then as it started to grow and the core business, which I'll talk about after, started to really grow, like we figured out different ways to automate them. So a lot of them actually are written by AI, but I would say like we pretty much always have a real human like comb it over to like kind of craft it in our personal style, which like for us is like informative, but also like relatable. Like it's like, hey, like this is cool, but like, like I'm just a regular dude, like I'm learning this for the first time, just like you are. So I would say that's kind of the workflow for them.
It's pretty cool. So, for everybody listening in, I didn't know that these were not real people. I thought it was just like a real account and I follow it. The content is amazing. And so when I message one of these fake accounts and to say, I mean, the real accounts, right? It's not a real person. And, to find out that Ethan and team were behind this and a lot of it, and now learning that a lot of the posts are actually AI generated in the background. It's obviously real content and you're curating real things that are happening in the world of AI. And, obviously there's a method to the madness and you all have put this together, but the content is amazing. And it's crazy to hear 200 million views is an extraordinary number.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. And so like that, the Twitter accounts in and of itself have kind of blossomed into a growing revenue stream. I would say that we primarily use them like as just like a gateway to our core business, which is just like a creative agency for AI and technology brands that is sort of like been created from that kind of core problem we identified earlier. So yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that though. It's great to hear that people like what we post.
The other thing which is really interesting about you guys is like, is it the two of you? Like, how big is the agency?
So initially it just was the two of us for, I would say, for about like a year or so. And then maybe like 4 months ago, we started putting people on the content team to help with, writing and generating stuff. So like at this point, I'm somewhat removed from like actually directly producing content. Like we have people coming up with ideas and stuff like that. On the agency side, it's mostly contracted part-time labor. We don't have too many full-time employees. In fact, we have literally one. We At this point we've serviced like almost 50 to like between 50 and 100 different companies in varying capacities. Coincidentally, I told you about this last time we spoke. We were building our site. I think it'll actually amazing, hopefully be live next week, which will help a lot of that, streamlining it. But like, yeah, it's super grassroots, like not a lot of people.
It's amazing, and so the reason I wanna highlight this is that there's this growing trend, thanks to AI, of what we call tiny teams, right? That are able to do extraordinary things and make revenue that was previously the previous year just required a lot of people. And so you obviously write about AI, you have the AI directory, and then you do marketing services and help companies. And a lot of that is powered by AI and AI workflows. I think this is like the new way of building companies. And I love the way that you all are doing it. And so excited to have you on today to share some of the workflows that you're using internally. So, what is the first demo that we have lined up?
So the first one is like a basic two-step workflow on Grok 3. I know everyone's talking about Grok 4. I didn't have time to adapt it for that. I'm sure it'll produce better output, but I just need to be sure.
So, we're recording on July 11th. I think Grok 4 was 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days ago, something like that. So this one versus the other one that I'll do after which is a lot simpler. We expect like utility out of this. It's not meant for like brainstorming or whatnot. Like we're trying to craft actionable output here. And I also want to preface this by saying it's meant to be done for someone who's not necessarily technically inclined, but if you are, there's a lot of ways you could run with something like this in a major way. So the point of it is to identify, let's say we're a company. I modeled it like if you're a company like Fellow, but it could be any company, obviously. Like if you're looking for influencers in a particular space for to potentially do a marketing or influencer campaign, and that's the first step, identifying them based on my criteria. And the second step is just crafting sort of like a messaging template to actually get them to agree to terms or provide quotes or what have you. So that's the first one on Grok 3 deeper search.
Let's see it. So this is really cool. So as you're pulling that up, this is almost like the new way of marketing. Influencer marketing has been around for a while, but I think with more and more channels dying, right? So traditional SEO dying in its original form, these other user generated channels are starting to become a lot more important. So what Ethan's about to show us is actually really valuable. And more companies, including us at Fellow, we are focusing a lot more on this influencer channel. So yeah, super curious what you're going to show us.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I also will say, is part of the reason this is super valuable for us is not just because of the power of the tools, but also because we've done this by hand before.
And so while you're pulling that up, the other thing to note is that for those wondering what is Grok, so Grok is like a Chat GPT or is like a Claude, except this is from X, which is Elon's company, and so this is almost like a division of X that is producing this tool called Grok, and you can get it on the App Store. You can search for Grok and download it on your phone. You can obviously access it from your X account, and it's really cool. One of the reasons I like it, and Ethan's going to show this as well, is that it actually has access to the X feed, or formerly Twitter feed. And if you want to know something like super current and what's really going on, this is like the best data source for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will also add that like it's possible to do stuff like this on GPT, but like you said, Grok is fully integrated into the platform. So it's just like operating at a much more versatile data source. That's especially if you're looking to do a campaign on Twitter, it's like you might as well not look any further than that. So the prompts for the first workflow are a little bit involved, but I'll explain why I set them up the way I set them up. Sorry, it just slowed my So why did I set up like this? I set it up like this. I mean, as everyone knows, like in the AI space, you want to give it a lens, right? For act as a B2B marketing strategist. And that's important for, people mostly associate it with topic. It's not as important for that. The LLM can pretty easily ascertain the topic. It's more important for setting the standard, right? Like this is not some exploratory exercise. I'm looking for actionable output that could drive results. And that's the main reason that's important. And besides that, it's just like setting the goal, the criteria, etc. So I'm just gonna copy and paste that in here to by the way, oh, and by the way, I'm using deeper search, which I don't believe you could access this without just having the basic X premium, which is like $8 a
Mhm.
month. So that's worth noting.
Totally worth it. I think it's such a bargain.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then obviously if you have Twitter X Premium Plus, you can get Grok 4, which is probably incredibly advanced. I haven't even used it a bunch yet. So it's going to take like maybe 5 to 10 minutes here. It's going to outline the steps. And once it gives me the steps, I'll have a few points about like just very briefly about each one. So assessing user requests, it's pretty much doing exactly what it's saying it's doing, right? It's matching my intent with the outputs that is required to achieve that, right? It's crawling multiple live data sources in order to like ascertain what that output entails. Planning the search strategy, same thing, very much like what it's saying it's doing. It's matching my intent with the output, but also it's like getting a bit more like involved in terms of like validating what the standard is. Like I said before, like, we don't just want like inactive or stale accounts that get inflated engagement. We want real authentic accounts that are associated with thought leadership and exploring data, user data. So it's very similar to that, but it's like maybe a bit of a higher echelon of validation, right? It's referencing a lot more advanced sources like citations, stuff like that to just assess credibility versus like I said, you could do this on ChatGPT, but like this is part of the reason that Grok is so much more powerful for something like this because obviously ChatGPT can pull from external data sources the same way, but like Grok has just a greater grip on the Twitter pages itself. So it's analyzing bios, pin tweets, what influential people reposted this account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, usually when an AI tool takes a long time to do something, it implies that they're really thinking as they're saying. So it's a good sign.
I actually like it. It's one of the most brilliant kind of UI innovations that I think exists in that just by saying thinking and then just by showing you the kind of stuff that it's doing in the background, that it's not, being lazy. It's not taking a long time for the sake of taking a long time. It's actually doing a lot of work and it's kind of showing us what it's doing live, which is really cool. I saw April Dunford in there, as Dan Martell referenced there. So investigating a whole bunch of different options as it's going forward. So this is really cool.
Yeah, I know, and I
And like you
completely
said, you used to do this manually, right? If you wanted to do this, you would be doing this manually. It would take you a lot longer, maybe a good day or more to do this kind of
Yeah,
work.
yeah, probably more, and that's part of the reason that I'm able to set up the prompt so quickly because look, we have done this a lot manually, and it takes a long time, and it's very very frustrating, like just the whole process, and it's a very practical application of AI. And by the way, I completely agree with your previous point. Like, I think the user friendliness, like the jargon, that's like a huge leap that Grok I think is doing a much better job of.
Yeah.
But
To take a step back too, right? What used to happen is, like you said, A, used to do it manually, but B, the way you would have done it, if you're, a small team, maybe you would have done it yourself. But if you worked in a bigger marketing team, what would have likely happened is, the manager would have probably gotten somebody on the team and like made it their job of, hey, we want to do influencer marketing. Go create a big list of all of the people who could be influencers for our brand and maybe create a table and write in each column how many followers they have, what kind of stuff they write about, and like go create this whole thing and heck, spend a whole week on it and then bring it back and then I can make the decision. And this is how teams ended up having so many people, right? But now You don't need a person to go do this. This is your intern, and this intern is effectively doing this work for you.
100%. And to your previous example, like when you're doing it manually, like I would say 75% of the time isn't even like thinking. It's like you said, creating the tables, getting the metrics, putting them in an organizable way for whoever you're presenting it to. Like versus now, like you could basically spend 95% of the time thinking, like, like who are the best fits based on this output.
I was gonna say, even if I extrapolate from this, Ethan, the other cool thing is, okay, so now we're using this to get a whole bunch of influencers. But say now I wanted to think about, well, what are a whole bunch of newsletters we could pitch that could include content from us, right? You would basically do the same thing. Or if you wanted to say, what are a whole bunch of blogs that we could be a guest writer on? You could do the exact same thing. So anytime you want to find something and do this kind of a research, I mean, we're showing it as it relates to influencers, but this literally applies to everything.
100%. You could absolutely like set the criteria. Also, I will say it's worth noting, like, and this is part of the reason I use deeper search is because like it's using all of those sources you mentioned to, sort of basically validate the list that it's procuring. And like, so if someone's been cited, like, or links to open source projects cited in newsletters or research articles, it's using that to say, okay, this person's an original thought leader, like they are influential, this is person that's worth talking to. They don't have some inflated metrics. Like they didn't go viral in 2021 and it didn't, go viral since. Like the validation piece is like in my opinion, like one of the more powerful parts of this.
So it's actually doing a lot more than just finding it. It's actually thinking about whether or not these are the right people. And if you put criteria like what you mentioned is you can actually put consistency as a criteria that in your prompt as you're creating these things. Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying the episode. One of the common things that we hear is, hey, you all talk about all these different tools, you walk through these demos. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow along. We decided to do recently was take all the things that we talk about, put them in a weekly newsletter. We literally list all the tools, we link to them, and any demo that we walk through, we break it down step by step, put it in this newsletter so it's super easy for you to follow along. And the other nice thing is that if there's someone on your team that you think could benefit, they're working on that subject area, they could use a little bit of AI injection into their workflow, send them the newsletter, send them that particular episode. We make it super easy to do that. It's free to sign up. All you have to do is go to thisnewway.com, enter your email address, and you'll get this weekly email from us. Hope you enjoy it. With that said, let's go back to the episode.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you could see, like it's almost at 300 sources already in like 7 minutes that it's fully analyzed. It's the power of this stuff is true. Like I don't even think we're scratching the surface, but it's super, super cool. And we use it for this workflow. We use it all the time. Like, pretty much every time even if we're not actually going to use the output, like, if we're just going to kind of maybe tell people some options or whatever it is, like pretty much every time we get a new bigger campaign customer, we do something like this. And
Yeah, the source count keeps going up. It's now at 373 sources and it keeps going.
yeah, it's incredible. And I will also say that yeah, I mean like you could do this on deep search, which without the $8 a month, but like the source versatility and validation piece is like that's the reason why these, more premium or you could say like advanced tools these LLMs offer are just so powerful for stuff like this. Yeah. And also like, if you were a more technical person, like you could totally like, you know, include more advanced data sources, layer them on, like get data from LinkedIn or newsletters or what have you, or you could create some sort of automated workflow to deliver this to you automatically. There's so many ways you could run with this if you actually like understand that stuff, which I don't understand it too well.
One other question maybe I'll ask you is like, what other kinds of things are you using deep research type queries for?
Mostly like for like in terms of like actual driving value, accomplishing work tasks, not too many. I mean, I use it a lot for like brainstorming lots and lots of data sources at once. So like if it can honestly be reverse engineered, right? Like if I have like a list of if someone sends me influencers or newsletters or any sort of like distribution channel, right? I could like essentially reverse engineer this prompt and include those channels and have them validate it for me essentially. Like, so say like, all right, is this like instead of like going to all these pages and being like, all right, like this person has inflated engagement, this person uses bots, this person whatever, like I could, kind of have Grok do that for me on like a really large scale. That's like the probably the second most common,
But
I
Ethan,
would
how do
say.
you do that? How does Grok know if an influencer is using bots or it's fake engagement? How does it figure that out?
That's actually I would say one of the easier parts for it in terms of the validation. It's really just like they don't like say this person is using bots. They'll say like, and I'll set it up to say like, give me a percentage probability, right? And they'll essentially use proportional like engagement ratios. So they'll say like, okay, this person got 100,000 views. Like this is a very basic example, and like two comments, and both of them are from people they're following. Like, like that's a very clear sign that this person is like going to some website and paying $20 to get fake views. And obviously it can become more nuanced than that. Nowadays they're becoming more sophisticated, but oh, let's see, it's completed. But that's a pretty, common example.
So do you put that in the same prompt? So the prompt that you created, you will also say, please also verify that most of their engagement comes from real organic engagements versus from bots. Is that part of the overall prompt?
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, for this second type of thing that like I would do, I would reorient this whole prompt around like not just I don't want them to discover anything like new. I want them to just validate what I already have. So I will, kind of reorient that prompt around like that subject, that intent. So yes, the answer is yes. I would literally put the words like tell me the probability if this is botted engagement, botted views, etc., etc.
Very cool.
Yeah. So as you can see here, this took, let's see how long. It took 10 minutes and 16 seconds, 524 sources. It gives me obviously a little summary. It gives me a list of these influencers with, links to their profile with URLs. It gives me like a really brief sentence about each of them, like what they talk about, their like main sources of credibility. And then I think it'll sort them by follower count, but it's already been told that like follower count is not really like what we care about here. We care about real engagement, and it'll give an analysis, their sources, and it'll give like this table. And like I could literally like export this table and like send it to someone. I could maybe change it up a little bit and like make it like more to my personal voice, but like in general, like this type of work is the type of stuff that would take like you said, an intern or research assistant like hours, maybe even days. And like the problem is like it's not that like allocating days or hours is a problem. It's like you want to be spending that time thinking about the results versus like just getting the results. It's just kind of like a waste of time really to like not do it like in a way like this. And I mean, in my opinion, but I used to do it like with the manual way. So I guess.
I mean, this is super impressive. I mean, you've been scrolling this whole time. It has an amazing table. I mean, it did the task, all the influencers that you could probably want. The table is accurate. You can send this off. This is incredible. Like this can replace an entire person.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just some powerful stuff. And like also just like to be clear, like one of the subsequent powers of LLMs, like I could just type into this, like, all right, like this is amazing, like just short it down for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't want to like, but this is like pretty concise as it is. So yeah, I agree. So I can go to the second prompt is a bit shorter. It's basically just like, taking these results and creating like a messaging template that it will use to like craft a cold outbound strategy. And I'll basically tell it, you know, this is not to do research. I want to get quotes from these people to like get let's say a Twitter thread, right? Like I put here Twitter thread quote for an upcoming campaign. So once again, like setting the standard here, like I need to drive value for my employer. I need actionable output. And that's pretty important in prompting. Probably like the most important part, honestly. So here we go. Let's put this in there.
So basically, you're saying go through the entire list that you had. and go through all of their things that they've posted and figure out an angle to outreach to them. So something that they've said in the past that you can then use to construct a message so that you can, send an outreach to them to basically engage them to help promote your company in this case.
Yeah, I specified in the prompt itself, like, I don't exactly want you to write the message for me. I want you to give me personalized angles, right? So, like in this case, it's fellow. So I want you to analyze our product market fit, which, and I want you to, take the list you just created. And I want you to essentially, if I'm a real human, what are some ways I can reach out to these people in a personalized manner to like increase our response rate, right? I want them to actually respond. Like, I don't want to just like copy and paste something and get on with my day. So like, like that's really the main focus of this part of the workflow. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because again, you would have done this kind of stuff manually, and you can see how when I go back to this idea of, oh, it actually replaces the work that a single person would do. You can see why, right? It's not just go come up with the list. It's okay, what kind of things should we reach out to them with? And you're taking a multi-step approach. First, what is the angle that we're going to reach out to them with? And this stuff is incredibly difficult to do, right? You have to really think about it. You have to read their stuff and then come up with some creative narratives that you can approach them with. So it's not like this is like a 2-second thing. It actually requires a bunch of work from whoever's doing the work.
Assuming a real human is like actually conducting this workflow, not only does it like take a lot of the work away, but it helps them learn the best ways to reach out to people, the best ways to validate influencers. That's one of the most exciting parts of AI for me is like not just like automating work, but it's like helping you think in a higher level way, about these tasks that you're trying to, do. And so I think it's completed here. So this one should be a bit shorter output wise. And so yeah, it gave me some key points, right? It gave me like an overarching strategy. It gave me outreach angles, another, table gave me some angles. And like I could obviously play around this and be like, hey, like change the outreach angles to bullet format, or, let's not focus on like things like this person, like, I could give it specific focus based on what the angles it generated for me, all sorts of stuff based on what I'm trying to accomplish. And once again, like you said, like this would have taken so long to do. Like the second step was a lot shorter than the first one. This probably would have taken, like if it really was a real human doing this, there would have been a lot more thinking time like allocated to this.
I can think about this for so many things, Ethan. So, for example, one of the things for anyone doing PR type work is okay, let's figure out who's writing about this area. Who has written about companies like us before? So, obviously, we're doing this for influencers on X, but this applies to writers in PR, blog posts, newsletters, YouTube creators, like whoever you want to find. And you can even maybe make the prompt even more complex, and you can put in things like, oh, do a conflict check. Like, are they a fan of one of our competitors? So maybe that's not the person that we want to engage with, or whatever else your criteria is. It would have taken a lot of time and effort from a human to do this, but as long as you know what the criteria is, like you said, up level your thinking into the strategic area, really think through those, write great prompts and instructions, and then the AI just does it like magic.
Absolutely. And like, look, like I think we can both agree this is extraordinarily powerful technology. I will say though that like the best way to use it, or at least for stuff like this, is to like, look, it does a lot of the thinking for you, but like to actually think about like what you're trying to accomplish here and give it as much information as possible. Like, versus like if you're typing something to a real human being, writing some essay text, that's not getting read. But like if you type some essay text to an LLM, they're reading everything. Like so like it's detailed is great, obviously within reason, but like it just forces you to think about things that maybe you wouldn't have thought about in the past because you're so busy creating a table with follower engagement numbers. So I agree. It's incredibly powerful, and it saved me days worth of time, like in the last couple of months alone.
This is super cool. Thanks for showing it to us. Hey everyone, just a quick pause on today's episode to tell you about my day job. In addition to This New Way, I'm the CEO of a company called Fellow.ai, and Fellow is an AI meeting assistant. It joins all your meetings, it summarizes them, tracks the action items and the decision, and does that better than any other tool that you've seen. We've spent a ton of time making sure that the meeting notes and summaries and action items that come out of Fellow are the most accurate, the most precise. It beats any human. You have to try it. But in addition to that, what makes Fellow different is that it is the first AI note taker built from the ground up with security and privacy in mind. This means that you can use it for all your meetings, not just the customer facing ones, but also the sensitive ones, things like one-on-ones and executive team meetings and those QBRs and everything in between. It's got really good judgment. So for example, if you start a meeting and you're talking about some social stuff that you don't really want on the record that's going to get emailed to everyone afterwards, Fellow just knows. It just doesn't include those things. Or say you have something that you talked about and later on you realize, oh man, that shouldn't have been there. Makes it really easy. You can go back to the meeting, select that part, delete it, and then it's gone from the record. It connects to all of the other tools you use in the organization, whether that's Slack or Asana or HubSpot or Salesforce or Linear or Jira or Confluence, whatever it is, Fellow integrates with all those things. I think the best part is that Fellow also acts as an AI chief of staff. Because it sits on all the meetings and the conversations that you have access to, you can ask it really cool questions such as, what are the biggest opportunities in my company? What are the bottlenecks in engineering? And Fellow just pieces together information, sees trends, and it can answer those sorts of questions. It can even do things like, hey, based on all of the one-on-ones that I've had with this particular person, can you create them a performance review? And it can do things like that too. And the sky's really the limit. What I really wanted you to do is have the opportunity to try out Fellow, check it out, and we're making a special offer available to all our listeners. So just go to fellow.ai/thisnewway to try Fellow. There's a discount code in there for you if you decide to continue with it. Either way, I would love for you to try it and let me know what you think. And with that said, let's go back to the episode. So Ethan, what are we seeing next?
So the next one is a much more basic workflow that I mainly use for like brainstorming. Like you can generate output, but I don't, as a content creator, I don't typically rely on, automated external tools to produce content. I use it to help me think through, content ideas. So for this, I'm going to use, if in ChatGPT, obviously, as many people know, they have a GPT store, and I'm going to be using the Veed GPT to create a very short, like 50-second video about like AI news. And I'm going to also have it like maybe write a script and automate the voice behind that script, and also, maybe analyze it across popular trending templates in the similar space, to like increase the familiarity with the audience. So I just want to show like the power, like how quickly you can just create a video and really use this if you do have those skills to create a better video.
Wow, it's like you're basically gonna replace a production studio with AI. I mean, I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. And by the way, so this requires GPT-4, which you can access with ChatGPT Plus, which is like $20 a month.
So what is Veed? So Veed is basically a GPT. It's just it's almost like an extra tool that exists, and ChatGPT can connect to it, and it performs a certain task. In this case, Veed actually makes videos.
Yeah. So Veed is a company that we actually work with. I would say their most interesting pitch, besides generating videos, is like they help create avatars, actually, that like will, so if I create a script for this video, they'll have a fake human being that looks super realistic, like saying the words. I doing due to like the lag that I'm experiencing, all that stuff, lag I'm experiencing and all that stuff, I think I just want to show you, like, even if you click the no avatar option, like it's still like very like, I guarantee once you see it, you'll be like, oh, I've seen videos like this on my feed before. Maybe not about AI news, but like, I don't know, about like food reviews, or like a review of like different like water parks, whatever it is, like, you know, so Veed is like a competitor to like CapCut, but they're, I would say they're way more advanced, like, with the avatar stuff like that. So
Cool. I'm
yeah.
excited.
So this is a very basic prompt. And like as you can see, it's just like create a 1 minute video and 9:16 aspect ratio, which is basically mobile phone aspect ratio. Um, so latest updates in the AI chatbot world, figure the ideal viewer as an early stage founder, and write a short script reflecting that. So here we go. So it's literally just that. And you could obviously type this in yourself.
It's amazing because a lot of the video generation tools that I've tried, they don't do a minute all at once. So this is really cool that it's gonna create a 1 minute video.
Yeah, so it's exactly. So it's going to give me a few brief questions. So I'm going to say hype driven because that, as anyone who posts AI content knows, that's what does the best, especially about chatbots. Let's say specific, yeah, specific updates, and let's say opinion. Let's say educational. So because that's going to be the easiest for that to produce. So let's do that. Answer those brief questions. So here's the script. It's giving me the script. I could obviously edit this if I wanted to. And then now I'm just going to click. So let's just assume that this is perfect for me. I'm going to click, type continue.
It's really cool how this works. So first you say what you want, it generates the script. You can comment on the script if you want, and then afterwards, if everything is good, you just tell it to proceed and it is going to create this video for us.
It's super powerful because like obviously there's tons of AI tools out there, and like just having it integrated into like a platform like this is so productive. Like I don't need to go to Veed's website to do this. I mean, it'll eventually redirect me like right now. There's a second prompt afterwards, but I just want to show you what it already generated just from that.
Some of these things, it's interesting. Like we've also gotten used to instant loading of everything, but these tools are actually doing some crazy things in the background. So they're actually doing a lot of work. So it's not loading, it's thinking and it's working.
Once it creates a video, I have a bunch of options, like basic options, avatar voice only. I'm gonna click back to the hours to show you like what it looks like. It takes some time for it to like match up the audio. So just for this, we'll play that. I wonder if it'll go quicker if I do voice only. I could obviously change the language, the music in the background.
I think this is cool for people to see, right? So we are working with kind of cutting edge things, and so they're not perfect. You may have to tweak them, you may have to reload the pages, but they do work. And once you learn how to get them to work, again, you're doing the work of an entire production studio. So I think this is all part of the game.
Yeah, and it's important, like you said, to have context. Like if you were doing this without any of these tools, like waiting 5 minutes for it to load you'd be spending a lot more time than that. So
What's your perspective if you had to guess? So a lot of brands, consumer brands advertise on, say, Instagram. From your perspective, how much stuff is now AI generated from the things that we are viewing?
well, that's a great question. I mean, I definitely think behind the scenes, a lot of these platforms are actually. This might sound a little, Y2K, like crazy, but like I think they're like potentially trying to, in certain niches, push content creators out and just replace it with their own AI content to almost like circumvent sharing the revenue with them. I think that's definitely something that's happening behind the scenes, but also like just from actual creators utilizing these tools. I think it's very niche dependent. I think, if you're just like sharing news updates, like stuff that like you're just like, it's not much personality in it, not much like really required familiarity. Like there's no brand loyal, there's no creator loyalty. It's just informative, it's algorithmic. I would say like an exorbitantly high percentage on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. But once you get into the weeds and like someone's creating a personal brand, a familiar face, it could vary a lot more. I guess you guys can't hear that audio, but it's basically reciting the script in this female voice.
Yeah, so this is great. So what we're seeing here is that this is the video. So for whatever reason, we can't get it to play right now, but we are hearing the audio in the background, which is kind of cool. I'm seeing some captions, so the captions are
Yeah.
also appearing. So what we're gonna do is like again. So this is I'm glad that this happened because these tools are new, right? AI and all these tools are new. They do work, but sometimes they can be finicky. So what we're going to do is we're going to include a link to this video so you all can watch it, and then hopefully, and we're going to obviously include a link to Veed and instructions on how to do this yourself with a custom GPT and all the stuff that we showed with Grok as well in the instructions and the newsletter for thisnewway.com. So make sure to sign up and we'll send you the link for those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess we won't go through it today, Ethan, but after this video is generated, what would you have done next?
Yeah. Well, so the second step, what I was going to do very briefly was just say, like, all right, like, analyze, like, here's my niche, here's my target audience. Like, find me the best performing TikTok or Reels templates that are performing well for like popular creators in the space. And like the point of this, just familiarity. It's not just like algorithm performance, which is definitely important, but it's like, when people see something that is consistent with a template they've seen from, like, let's say a creator like Alex Hormozy, or who's obviously not an AI creator, but he's a recognizable face, it just creates credibility, it creates context, and it's like it decreases the likelihood they're going to like swipe up, which, is how these algorithms work. The most valuable metric for, being pushed to an algorithm on a video first short form video platform is watch time. It's more valuable than engagement by a lot. And so, like, that's why, like high resolution, like those types of things that people a lot of times overlook because of all these tools, like, is just way more important than people think. So I use it mainly to, like, I don't actually most of the time use these videos and like post them because, like, we have creators that, create videos. And also in our space, what performs best is usually like screen share videos and stuff. We don't create this type of content, but I use it to like really just brainstorm like my messaging. What types of hooks are performing well, or what types of, like, what are the different ways I could frame this to like reach the particular target audience I want to have, right? And like, based on the output, based on the templates it gives me, based on the script, I could see how the AI is thinking about it. Like, it's saying, you know what I'm saying? So I use it mainly for brainstorming.
I think it makes all the sense in the world. This has been incredible. I mean, we've gone through so many things, lots of use cases. Ethan, I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to get in touch with you. So if they want to do that, what's the best way for them to do it?
Well, I could provide my email to you or my LinkedIn because our site, unfortunately, is not live yet, which is very lackluster by me.
But if it ends up being live by the time we send out the newsletter, so we'll obviously include it in the newsletter. What is the social profile you want them to find you on?
Yeah, so you could either email me at ethan@marketingguys.co, or you could follow this dude likes AI on Twitter, or this guy knows AI on Twitter. And obviously I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Ethan Hochberg. Well, thank you so much, Aiden. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of This New Way. If you like the content, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe so you can get notified when we post the next episode. See you next time.